Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to learn about interfacing BODC motor with Arduino R3. Let's get started with this practical. In this, we are going to perform interfacing DC BO gate motors with Arduino R3. So what we'll need for this particular practical is BODC motors. That could be yellow in color, or you might be having a white color motor. Both will be having two terminals. Like this one and this one, and here also you'll be having this terminals. So we'll be using these two terminals to connect these two terminals to Arduino and control these two terminals using our program in Arduino. And we'll be using Arduino R3 and L293D motor driver board, which is having L293D IC on it. So let's get started. We need all three things together. One is Arduino, another is this L293D board, and then the motor. Now we have two terminals in the motor. You can see over here we have two terminals in the motor, and in Arduino, to control this motor we need to program two pins. So we can take any two pins out of 0 to 13 to control this motor. We know that motor is an output device, and to control this motor we need to give high low or low high any kind of signal. For example, if I give high high on both the terminals of motor, so for high high there will be no potential difference and motor will not work. Similar case for low low. For low low there will not be any kind of potential difference on the two terminals of motor and the motor will not work. In case of high low, in case we give one terminal to high and another terminal to low, so the motor may rotate in one direction. It could be the clockwise or anti-clockwise, anyone. If it is clockwise and we are giving high on first terminal and the low on second terminal, it is rotating clockwise. Then if we change it and give low on first terminal and high on second terminal, it will rotate anti-clockwise. So let us say I'm connecting my motors to pin number 3 and pin number 4. So if we give high on 4 and low on 3, it will rotate in one direction. If we give low on 4 and high on 3, it will rotate in another direction. So this is how we can control motor. And motor is an output device, and high and low are digital signals. So to control this motor, the command that we'll be using is digital write. So let's get started with programming. We'll first write down a program to rotate this motor in clockwise direction for some time and then in anti-clockwise direction for some time. And after writing the code for this, we'll try connecting this motor with Arduino, and we'll look after the circuit diagram and the connections. So let's get started with the program. So let me open Arduino. We know the pins that we are going to use is the digital pins, pin number 3 and 4, and we'll be programming pin number 3 and 4. Two pins we are taking because motor has two terminals, and you can take any other pin, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, any two pins you can take. It is not even necessary that you take consecutive pins. You can also take 2 and 5, 6 and 7, or 6 and 9, 10 and 12, anything is fine. It should be a digital pin. So let's get started with this. Let's say we are taking two pins, pin number 3 and 4. So we'll define two variables, pin int m1 equals to 3, int m2 equals to 4. Don't forget to write semicolon. Why we are writing this is because comments we are putting using 2/. So this is writing because defining pin terminal 1 of motor connected to pin 3 of Arduino, and in similar case for the second one we are defining pin 4 of this is the terminal 1 of motor, and this is terminal 2 of motor connected to pin 4 of Arduino. Next here, as we are using digital pin, we need to define whether we are using it as an input mode or output mode. As we know that motor is an output device, we can define that the mode of these pins are output mode. So for that we'll define pin mode M1 as output, and in similar case pin mode pin mode M2S output. So this is what defining pin as output, and this is also defining pin number 3 as output, and this one is pin number 4 as output, because M1 is equals to 3 and M2 equals to 4. Now let's say I wish to rotate my motor in clockwise direction, or let's say on first direction for 3 seconds. So I need to give high and low on one pin. So for that I'll be using the syntax digital write. So let me check digital write M1 comma high, and second one as digital write M2 comma low. And for rotating in this direction for some time, I'll give a delay of, let's say I want to rotate in my motor in this direction for 3 seconds, so I'll give 3000 delay. And similarly digital write M1 comma for another direction M1 low and M2S high. So here we'll give M2S high, and after this also we'll put a small delay of 3 seconds. So we're using here pin number 3 and 4, and we defined pin number 3 as M1 and 4 as M2, and then we went up to defining the mode of pin M1 as output, mode of pin M2 as output, and then to rotate the motor in one direction M1 high M2 low, and to change the direction M1 low M2 high. That's changing the polarity. So let's go on uploading this code. So as you have connected your Arduino, so go into tools and check the port. Port should be the Arduino port where Arduino is written, and upload the code. So once the code is uploaded, you will get done uploading over here, and then we can check the output of motor later on. We'll check with the connections as well. So now we are done with uploading program, and now let's check the connections part and the output as well. So this is the devices we have, and first we'll see how do we connect motor, because we do not have wires in the motor. So we'll have to connect wires in the motor. So here we have 3 devices. I'm having my this one as my Arduino. This is my motor driver, and this is my BODC geared motor. So first thing we'll need to do is we'll need to attach some wires with BODC geared motor, and as soon as we are done with that, then we can connect this with the Arduino to check whether it is working or not. So for that we'll be taking 2 wires, 2 male to female wires will work out properly. So you can take 2 wires. So here I'm having male to female wires. I guess you also might be having this male to female wires. So what we'll do is we'll break this female part, not the male part. We'll break this female part. So here we have broken the female part, and now we have wire strands coming out of it. So what we can do is you can check this DC motor, and on DC motor you can find out 2 terminals over here, and what we can do is we can pour 1 wire through this. So once you have poured this wire through the hole, just you can rotate this motor to fit this properly. Now you see you have connected 1 wire with this, and similarly you can also connect the second wire as well. For this also you can pour the wire through the hole and then rotate this to fit the wire properly. So once this is done, you can see the 2 wires are connected with the motor very properly, and now we can connect this motor with Arduino to check whether it is working or not. So now we'll first try out connecting these 2 wires with pin number 3 and 4 directly to check whether it is working or not. So let us do that. So I'm going to connect my 2 pins of motor as we have programmed pin number 3 and 4 to check whether it is working or not. So I'm going to do that, and let me connect pin number 3 and with pin number 4, and you can see my motor is not working, it's not rotating. But if I connect the same pins to pin number 5 ground and 5 volt and ground, it means if I apply direct power supply to these pins, it will work properly. And you can see my motor working properly, rotating in a particular direction. Here I have directly provided the power supply. It means there is no fault in motor, but there is some fault in pin number 3 and 4. The exact problem is the programmable pins of Arduino are not able to source sufficient current to drive the motors. The programmable pins pin number 0 to pin number 13 of Arduino are not able to generate the sufficient current to drive the motors. And that is the reason we use motor driver boards, L293D motor driver boards, to drive the motors. So on this motor driver board, you can see we have L293D IC. These are headers for connecting the motor, and here we go with the pins which we can connect to Arduino. And these 3 are the power supply pins. You may find 4 pins over here. So if you have 4 pins, the 2 of them middle might be ground, so you can use any one of them. The 2 in the middle will be ground if there are 4 pins over here. If you have 3, then fine. How do we do connection of this motor with L293D and Arduino is, we'll check out the connections over here. So first we'll connect the motor to L293D like this. The 2 pins of motor can be connected to any of the header with L293D motor driver board, and the corresponding opposite 2 pins will have to go to Arduino pin number 3 and 4. Before that, we'll attach the power supply pins. So first we'll connect the 12 volt pin of motor driver to V-in of Arduino. This is the 12 volt pin, and here on Arduino we have V-in pin, the very first one. You can see this is V-in pin. So we'll do connection of this. The 12 volt will be going to V-in, the ground in the middle will be going to ground of Arduino, and the 5 volt of the motor driver will be going to 5 volt of Arduino. The 5 volt of motor driver board will be going to 5 volt of Arduino. So this is how the connection would be. And the last one is the corresponding opposite, where you have connected this motor, the opposite pins, 2 pins will be going to pin number 3 and 4. If you're connecting motor to these 2 pins will go 3 and 4, or otherwise 5 and 6. One L293D motor driver can drive 2 motors. Here we're using only 1 motor, so these 2 pins are left. These 2 pins can be connected to another motor, and these 2 pins can be connected to Arduino for controlling that motor. So once you're done with this connection, then you can check the output. So let's do the connections as mentioned. So here we have the L293D board, and now we'll try out doing the connections as mentioned. So using screwdriver, I'll lose my 2 pins on the L293D. And then we'll connect the motor to L293D. So we are done with connecting the first connection, that is connecting the motor to L293D, and now the rest of the connection will finish up. So the first one will be connecting V-in to the 12 volt pin of motor driver, connecting the ground to the ground pin of motor driver, and the last is connecting the 5 volt pin of the motor driver to the 5 volt pin of Arduino. So once you're done with this connection, then we can connect the pin number 3 and 4, that is the programmable pin of Arduino, to the motor driver. So here we have connected the motor over here, so the opposite pins will be connected to pin number 3 and pin number 4 of Arduino. So he'll be connected to pin number 3 and then to pin number 4 of Arduino. So now we can check the output of the motor. You can see it is rotating in one direction for some time and opposite direction for some time. You can see it is rotating in one direction for some time and opposite direction for some time. So this is the output you should get, and similarly you can control another motor as well, the direction of motor properly, using this similar program. So check with the program and the connections out here. There's the connections that we used for controlling the motors. I hope this would have been very clear to you. So the connections are 5 volt to 5 volt and ground to ground, 12 volt to V in. Thank you very much for watching this video.